Hello, my wonderful friend. Welcome to the VUS Learning English podcast. I am so happy you are here today. My name is Anna, and I will be your guide on this learning journey. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with me today. I know your time is precious, and it means the world to me that you are here. Today, I want to talk about something important. I want to talk about learning, and I want to talk about remembering. Sometimes learning can feel very hard. It can feel like you have a big mountain to climb. Do you ever feel that way? I know I do. Before we start, I have a small question for you. Where are you listening from today? I love to imagine all the different places in the world. Maybe you are in a big city. Maybe you are in a small town. Maybe you are on a bus or walking or sitting in a quiet room. If you want, you can tell me in the comments. I love reading your messages. And if you like our time together, you can press the like button or you can follow the podcast. This helps other people find our little community. It helps other English learners find a calm place to learn. I want to tell you a story about a time in my life, a time when I felt lost. I was a student. I was studying very, very hard things. I wanted to be a person who helps sick people. So I had to learn so much. Every day I sat with big, heavy books. There were stacks of books on my table. So many books. I would read for 12 hours. 12 hours every single day. I would just read and read and read. My room was filled with paper. Papers with pictures of the human body. Papers with long, long lists of difficult words. There was so much information. It felt like I was buried under all the paper. It felt like I could not breathe sometimes. All this information was around me. At night, my head was full. It was buzzing. You know, like a little bee is inside your head. Buzz, buzz, buzz. I felt so tired. And I thought, wow, I worked so hard today. I felt like I was being very productive. I thought I was learning. But then the next morning, I would wake up and I would try to remember. I would try to remember what I read yesterday. And it was gone. The knowledge was gone. It was like it just disappeared. It evaporated. Like water on a hot day. One moment it is there, and the next moment, poof, it is gone. I felt so scared. It was a terrible feeling. It felt like I was trying to fill a bucket with water. But the bucket had a big, big hole in the bottom. I would pour water in. I would pour and pour and pour, but the water would just run out of the hole. The bucket was always empty. My brain felt like that empty bucket. I was working so hard, but I was not keeping the knowledge. A week later, I could not remember the important things, the things I really needed to know. I started to feel a small fear inside me. It was a quiet fear. A little voice in my head. The voice said, maybe you are not smart enough. Maybe you cannot do this. Maybe everyone else is smarter than you. I thought that maybe the other students had a special memory, a photo memory, like their brain could take a picture of the book page. I watched my friends. They would talk about difficult ideas. They made it look so easy. And for me, it felt so hard. The pressure was huge. It felt so heavy on my shoulders. My whole future, everything I wanted to do, It all needed me to remember. I did not just need to read. I needed to keep the information, and I needed to use it, and I was failing. I felt like I was failing every day. It was in that very sad and scary moment I realized something. I had a new idea. The problem was not me. It was not about how smart I was. It was not about how many hours I worked. The problem was my method. The problem was how I was learning. I was treating my brain like a computer, like a hard drive. I was just pushing information in, push, 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 and I was just hoping it would stay there. I was thinking only about how fast I could read. I wanted to read many, many pages every day. I was all about consumption, consuming information, like eating food. I just wanted to eat more and more and more, but I was forgetting the most important part. The most important part of learning. I was forgetting about digestion. Think about it with food. Your real digestive system. You can eat the best food in the world. Healthy food, full of good things. But if your body does not digest it, if your body does not break it down and take in the good parts, then it is all just waste. You get no good things from the food. It does not make you strong. My brain was doing the same thing. Exactly the same thing. I was consuming so much good information. I was reading the best books, but I was not digesting it. I was not breaking it down. I was not making it a part of me. And because of that, most of it was just gone, forgotten, lost forever. Those long 12-hour study days, in truth, maybe only 1 hour was real learning. Just 1 hour. The rest was just waste. Like pouring water into the bucket with a hole. That is when I knew I had to change everything. I had to change my whole way of thinking. I stopped trying to read faster. I stopped counting the pages. Instead, I started asking a new question, a very important question. The question was, how does the brain really learn? How does our mind actually keep information? This is the core of how to learn English, or anything, really. I started to read about the brain. I read about how memory works. And from all of that reading, from all of that searching, I built a system, a new way to learn, a system not for consuming, but a system for digesting, a system to help me truly understand. I learned that not all information is the same. You cannot learn everything in the same way. There are different kinds of information, and you need different ways to learn them. I call it my pacer system. But the name is not important. The ideas are important. This system changed my life. It is why I finished my studies. It is why I became the person I wanted to be. And it is how I can learn new, hard things today and not forget them. The details do not slip away anymore. And in our time together today, I want to share these ideas with you. I am going to break down the 5 simple steps, 5 ways to learn and to remember. First, before we talk about the system, we need to understand the enemy, the thing that makes us forget. It has a name, but the name is not important. What is important is the idea. A long, long time ago, a smart man studied how we forget. He discovered something that every student knows in their heart. When you learn something new, your memory of it goes away very, very fast. It does not fade slowly. No, it falls. Like falling off a cliff. It drops very quickly. Forgetting is fastest in the first few hours and the first few days. If you learn something new and you do nothing else, most of it will be gone in 1 week. Some studies show you can forget more than half in just the first 24 hours. More than half is gone in 1 day. This is normal. This is how our brains work. Forgetting is a feature. It is not a mistake. Our brains are always filtering. They are always trying to decide, is this important? Should I keep it? Or is this just noise? Should I throw it away? The mistake we make is thinking that reading is enough. We think if we read something, our brain will know it is important. But it will not. We have to tell our brain that it is important. This brings us back to the idea of digestion, of breaking down our food. Learning is not one step. It is a 2-step process. It has 2 parts. Part 1 is consumption. This is what we think of as studying, reading a book, watching a lesson, listening to a podcast just like you are doing now. This is part 1, taking the information in. But then there is part 2, and this is the part we often forget. Part 2 is digestion. This is an active process. You have to do something. This is where you break the information down. You connect it to things you already know. This is how you send a signal to your brain. You tell your brain, hey, this is important. Please keep this for me. If you do not have a digestion process, you are stuck. You are stuck in a cycle of binging and purging information. You take in a lot. And then, poof, it all goes away. This is why you can read a whole book, a really good book. And 1 month later, you cannot remember the main ideas. You cannot explain it to a friend because you consumed it, but you did not digest it. Let me tell you another little story to show you why this is so important. There once was a man. He was a very special man. He was the person that the movie Rain Man was about. Maybe you have heard of it. This man had an amazing memory, a truly shocking memory. He could read 2 pages of a book at the same time. 1 page with his left eye, 1 page with his right eye. And he remembered everything. He read about 12,000 books in his life. 12,000. And he could remember almost everything from them. It sounds like a superpower, right? The best superpower for learning. He was the master of consumption. But here's the very important part of the story. This man had a very hard time with big ideas, with concepts. He could tell you facts. He could tell you dates. He could recite whole pages from a book, word for word, but he struggled to understand the meaning. What did it all mean? He could not connect the ideas. He could not understand why things happened. He was like a human library, a walking database, but he was not a deep thinker. This story shows us something so clearly. Consumption is not understanding. Remembering single facts is not learning. True learning. The kind of learning that lets you solve difficult problems. In your job, in your life. That kind of learning needs digestion. It needs you to build a network in your mind, a web of connected ideas, and the system I want to share with you. It helps you do that. It is a way to digest 5 different kinds of information. so that what you consume is actually used by your brain. It is understood and it is remembered. So let's talk about these 5 ways of learning. It's okay. We will go slowly. It is not a race. The first way of learning is for how-to knowledge. This is procedural information. That is a big word, but the idea is simple. It is not about what something is. It is about how to do something. Think about learning to ride a bike, or learning to cook a new meal, or learning to write a new letter in a new alphabet, or learning a new dance. This is how-to knowledge. You are learning a process, a skill. What is the common mistake here? What do we usually do wrong? We treat this how-to knowledge like any other information. We read the instructions. We watch a video of someone else doing it. We take notes on the steps. Step 1, do this. Step 2, do that. And then we think, okay, I learned it. We consume the information and we move on. This is like reading 10 books about how to swim, and then thinking you can swim across a big lake. It is not going to work. It is a recipe for disaster. Why? Because you are trying to put the information in the wrong part of your brain. Science tells us that this how-to memory is special. It is not stored in the same place as facts, like your birthday. It is stored in the parts of the brain that control movement, that control your muscles and your habits. These memories are made by action. They are made by doing. It is muscle memory. It is a totally different system in your brain. So, what is the digestion process for this kind of knowledge? How do you really learn it? It is very simple, and it is something you must do. You must practice immediately. You must try it right away, not later, not tomorrow, as soon as you can. The space between learning about it and doing it should be as small as possible, close to 0. If you wait, you forget. And the time you spent reading or watching is wasted. Let's take an example. Imagine you want to learn how to make a paper airplane. You watch a video. The video shows you, fold the paper here, then fold it here. If you just watch the video and close your laptop, tomorrow you will not remember how to do it. Maybe you will remember a little, but not well. But if you get a piece of paper and you fold it with the key to the video, or you watch the video and then right away you take a paper and try it. You practice the steps. You feel the paper in your hands. You make the folds. Now you are learning. Now you are encoding it as a motor program, as a how-to memory. Your hands are learning. Your retention, your ability to remember will be so much higher. So here's a little template, a little plan for this kind of learning. I call it the practice template. First, you read or you watch just one time, just enough to understand the steps. Second, you simulate, you try it right away. You do a practice version of the task. If you are learning a new word in English writing, you write it. If you are learning a new dance step, you stand up and try it slowly. If you are learning to code, you write and run the code. You just try it. Third, you apply. As soon as you can, you use the skill in a real situation. For the paper airplane, you teach a friend how to make it. For the new dance step, you try it with music. For the new word, you use it in a sentence when you are talking to someone. This is very good for your English speaking practice. The big mistake to avoid is what I call mental overeating. This is when you buy 10 books on how to start a garden, or you watch 50 videos on how to draw a cat, but you never actually plant a seed. You never actually pick up a pencil and draw. You feel like you are being productive. You are consuming so much information, but you are not learning the skill. You are just collecting facts. For how-to knowledge, for skills, action is everything. Doing is the most important step. If you do not have time to practice it, then do not waste your time consuming it. You are better to skip that chapter in the book and move to something you can digest right now. Okay, that was the first kind of information, the how-to knowledge. You learn it by doing. The second kind of information is what I call analogous information, an analogy. This sounds like a big word, but it is a very simple idea. You use it every day. An analogy is when you explain something new. By comparing it to something you already understand, it is like building a bridge from something you know to something you do not know. When a teacher says, the human eye is like a camera, that is an analogy. It helps you understand the eye by thinking about a camera. You already know what a camera does. What is the mistake we usually make here? We just accept the analogy. We passively accept it. We hear, the eye is like a camera, and we nod. We think, okay, I get it. Eye equals camera. We consume it and we move on. The problem is, all analogies are imperfect. They are not perfect copies. They are simplifications. They make things more simple. And if you do not think about their limits, if you do not think about where they are wrong, you can have a very shallow understanding, or even a wrong understanding. The analogy becomes a crutch. It helps you walk, but you never learn to run. It stops you from thinking more deeply. The science here is really interesting. Good analogies are powerful. They are powerful because they use the roads that are already in your brain, your existing neural pathways. They help you put a new idea into a folder that you already have. This is much easier than making a whole new folder from scratch. But, and this is a big but, it only works if you understand the connection well, and you understand where the connection breaks, where the analogy is not true anymore. So the digestion process for this kind of information is not to just accept it. It is to critique the analogy, to question it, to think about it. This active process makes you think deeply. It makes you think about the new idea, and it makes you think about the old idea too. It makes your understanding of both things stronger. Let's use our example. The eye is like a camera. So we can use a little plan, the critique template. First, link. You say the analogy clearly. The human eye is like a camera. Second, similarities. You list how they are the same. How are they alike? Okay, both have a lens to focus light. Both let light in through an opening. The pupil in the eye, the aperture in a camera. Both have a part at the back where the image forms. The retina in the eye, the sensor in a camera. Good. Now we see the connection. Third, differences. This is the most important part. You ask, where does the analogy break down? How are they different? You think about it. Well, a camera is made of metal and plastic. The eye is living tissue. It can heal. A camera records one picture at a time. The eye sends a continuous stream of information to the brain. The brain actively interprets the signals from the eye. A camera just stores a file. The eye can adapt to dark and light much better than most cameras. Fourth, refine or conclude. Now, based on your thinking, you can make the analogy better. You have a smarter idea now. You can say, so the eye is like a very advanced, living, self-healing camera that sends a constant video feed to a supercomputer, the brain, which then builds our reality. Wow, now you have a much, much better mental model, a much deeper understanding. This process turns a simple comparison into an active learning game. You are not just reading, you are thinking, you are analyzing. You are moving from it's like to it's like it in these ways, but it's different in these other ways. And that is the sign of real, true understanding. So far, we have talked about two ways of learning. Learning by doing, and learning by comparing and questioning. Just these two ideas can save you so much time, so much wasted effort. The next kind of information is maybe the most important one. It is about building the big picture, the big web of knowledge in your mind. But before we talk about that, if you are finding these ideas helpful, if you have ever felt like you were drowning in information, maybe you can take a moment to hit that subscribe button or leave a nice review. It really helps the podcast grow, and it helps me know that I am making things that are useful for you. Okay, thank you. Let's get back to it. Let's talk about the big picture. This brings us to our third kind of information, conceptual information, the world of concepts. This is the heart of real understanding. Conceptual knowledge is not about how to do something. It is about what something is and why it works and how it connects to everything else. It is the system of big ideas, the models and the relationships that make up a subject. It is the skeleton of a topic. In science, it is understanding why the seasons change, not just knowing the names of the seasons, but understanding the tilt of the Earth and its orbit around the sun. That is a concept. What is the classic mistake we all make here? We take linear notes. Linear means in a straight line, one thing after another. We open a book and we copy down information, bullet point after bullet point, in the same order as the book. We listen to a teacher and we write down what they say, word for word. What we create is a long, straight list of facts. And this list completely hides the most important thing. It hides the connections, the relationships between the facts. Science is very clear on this. Experts do not think in lists. People who really understand a subject do not have lists in their heads. Their knowledge is stored in a web, a beautiful, rich, connected web, like a spider's web of ideas. When they see a new problem, they do not look through a list in their mind. They see the web. They navigate the web. They see patterns and connections that a new learner with their simple list will miss completely. Our goal as a learner is to build a copy of that expert's web in our own mind. So, the digestion process for this conceptual information is to stop taking notes in a straight line and start mind mapping. You literally draw a picture of your understanding. You make the connections visible. You draw the web. Let's use a simple example. Let's say you are learning about fruits. A very simple topic for our English for Beginners lesson. A book might present it in a list. First, it talks about apples. Then, it talks about bananas. Then, oranges. Your linear notes would just be a list. Apple, banana, orange. But with a mind map, you build a web. Here is a little plan for that. The mapping template. First, start at the center. Take a blank piece of paper or a digital tool on your computer or tablet. In the very middle, write the main idea. In this case, fruits. Draw a circle around it. Second, branch out with core ideas. What are the big subtopics? The big groups? Maybe you draw a branch for fruits with one big seed, like a peach or an avocado. Maybe you draw another branch for fruits with many small seeds, like a strawberry or a kiwi. Maybe another branch for citrus fruits, like oranges and lemons. These are your main branches. Third, add layers and define relationships. Now you add more details, but you always connect them to the map. From the citrus fruits branch, you can draw a smaller branch, and on it you write oranges and another one for lemons. From the oranges branch, you could add another small branch that says high in vitamin C. You see? You are connecting ideas. Fourth, use arrows and labels. Do not just connect the bubbles with lines. Write on the lines. Label the connection. Use words like is an example of, or has, or is good for. This makes you think about how two ideas are connected. Orange is a type of. Citrus fruit has a lot of vitamin C. As you do this, your map grows. It starts with one circle, and then it has 5, then 10, then 20. It might look a little messy, but it is not messy. It is beautiful. It is a picture of your brain making connections. It is a picture of your own understanding growing. When you look at that map, you do not just see a list of fruits. You see the system. You see how they are related. The problem with linear, straight-line notes is that they are passive. Mind mapping is active. It forces you to think. It forces you to build a conceptual understanding. Yes, it is a little harder at first. It takes more effort. But the reward is huge. You move from just knowing facts to deeply understanding a system. And that is the key to using your knowledge in the real world. This is a great technique for when you learn English easily and want to organize your new words. Okay, our fourth category. We are doing great. Slowly, step by step. Our fourth type of information is evidence. This is the specific, hard information that supports your big ideas. Your conceptual map. These are things like statistics, numbers and percentages, dates from history, quotes from a person, or specific examples of a concept. The fact that the year has 365 days is evidence. A statistic like 80% of people love dogs is evidence. It is a piece of data. What is the mistake we make with evidence? We treat it like it is the most important thing. We try to memorize all the dates and all the numbers by themselves, in isolation. We make flashcards for every single number in a book. We get stuck on the small details before we even understand the big picture, the concept. This is not efficient. It does not work well because our brains are not made to remember random numbers and facts. Our memory works by association, by connection. So the digestion process for evidence is 2 parts: store quickly and rehearse through application. The goal is not to force the number into your brain while you are reading. That breaks your focus. The goal is to capture it and then connect it to your big picture, your mind map later on. Here's how it works. Let's imagine you are reading about the world and you read a fact. The population of Japan is about 125 million people. Here is the plan. The store/rehearse template. First, consume and store. As you are reading, do not stop. Do not try to memorize 125 million right now. Just capture it. Maybe you have a mind map about Japan. You can add a small note on your map. Next to the bubble for people, you write 125 million. That is it. It takes 5 seconds. You have stored it. Second, later, apply, rehearse. The real learning, the real memorizing happens later. When you use this piece of evidence, this is a kind of active recall. You are pulling it out of your memory. Later, you might look at your mind map and ask yourself, how big is the population of Japan? And you try to remember, or you might use it when you are talking to a friend about Japan. You could say, did you know that Japan has about 125 million people? This is part of English speaking practice too, using what you learn. When you do this, you are not memorizing a random number. You are linking it to a concept, king it to a concept. The concept of Japan. It becomes the evidence, the proof that anchors your understanding. The rehearsal, the practice of using it, makes the connection stronger. The connection between the big idea, Japan, and the evidence, 125 million people, it turns a meaningless fact into a meaningful piece of proof. The mistake is the memorization trap, trying to remember facts just by repeating them again and again. Rote repetition. This is a low-value activity. It does not work well for long-term memory. By linking evidence to your conceptual map, and by using it in conversation or writing, you are using your brain's natural way of remembering. You are using connections, and your memory will be much, much better. And now, the final one, the 5th one. We are at R. This is for reference information. This is the very small, low-level data. These are facts that you just need to know, but they do not need deep understanding. There is no big why behind them. For example, a phone number, or the spelling of a difficult word, or a keyboard shortcut on your computer, or a specific name of a medicine. It is just a piece of information you need to have. What is the biggest mistake here? It is a huge waste of time and energy. We use our strong, powerful brain tools for this simple information. We spend hours trying to force a list of words or formulas into our brain, just by repeating them, using pure willpower. We are using our brain's limited high-effort energy on the lowest value information. The best way to learn these things is very clear. The most efficient and effective digestion process for this kind of information is to outsource it. Give this job to someone or something else. Give it to a spaced repetition system, SRS. Spaced repetition. What is that? It is a learning technique, a method. It uses an idea called the spacing effect. The idea is simple. We remember things better when we review them at the right time. When the spaces between reviews get longer and longer, you review it today, then again in a few days, then again in a week, then again in a month. The intervals, the spaces get bigger. An SRS, a spaced repetition system, is a tool that does this for you automatically. It is often an app on your phone or computer. A very famous one is called Anki, but there are others too. This tool is like having a personal teacher, a teacher who knows exactly when you are about to forget something, and it shows it to you just in time, just at the perfect moment to make that memory stronger. Here's the plan for this. First, dump it. The moment you see a piece of reference information you need to remember. Like a new English word. Do not even try to remember it yourself. Just dump it into your SRS app. Create a flashcard. On the front, you put the question, for example, the word in your language. On the back, you put the answer, the word in English. Happy. This takes only a few seconds. Second, follow the algorithm. That is it. That is all you have to do. Your only other job is to open the app for a few minutes every day, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And you do the reviews the app gives you. The app's algorithm will show you the card. It will ask you, was this easy or hard to remember? Based on your answer, it will schedule the next review, maybe tomorrow, or in 10 days, or in a month. The beauty of this is amazing. It completely removes the stress of remembering these small facts. You are giving the job of remembering to a system that is much, much better at it than your brain alone. This avoids the trap of wasting your precious energy and focus on low-level memorizing. By giving this job to an SRS, you can free up so much of your study time, so much of your mental energy, and you can use that time and energy for the more important things, for the things that need your brain, like practicing skills, critiquing analogies, and building your concept maps. Okay, we have looked at all 5 kinds of information, 5 ways of digesting knowledge. But the real power happens when you use them all together. When it becomes a natural way of learning for you, let's walk through one final example, a complete example, to see how it all flows together. Imagine you want to learn about a plant, a house plant, let's say a succulent, a little plant for your desk. The old you would just read an article online about succulents. And hope you remember, this is passive consumption. The new you, the pacer you, the smart learner you. You actively digest from the first sentence. You open the article. The first part explains that succulents are plants that store water in their leaves. This makes them able to live in dry places. You instantly see, this is conceptual information. The big idea. You take out a blank paper. In the middle, you write succulents. You draw a branch that says store water in leaves, and an arrow from that to another bubble. Can live in dry places. The foundation of your mind map is built in just 30 seconds. You keep reading. The next section describes how to repot a succulent, how to move it to a new pot. Step 1, gently remove the plant. Step 2, put new soil in the new pot. You see this and think, this is procedural, a how-to skill. You do not just read it, you make a note. Tomorrow, I will practice repotting one of my small plants. Or you can even pretend. You can use your hands and just imagine doing the steps. You have scheduled your digestion. You have a plan to practice. In the next paragraph, the article says, the leaves of a succulent are like little water bottles. You recognize this. This is analogous information, a comparison. You do not just accept it. You stop for 1 minute and you critique it. Similarities. Okay, both hold water for later use. Differences. But a water bottle is plastic. A leaf is alive. A water bottle is filled by me. A leaf absorbs water from the roots. A water bottle doesn't use the water itself. A leaf uses the water to live. By spending 60 seconds thinking about this, you now have a much deeper understanding of what a succulent leaf really does. You turn the page, or scroll down. You see a statistic, a piece of evidence. There are over 10,000 species of succulents in the world. Wow, that is a lot. You do not try to cram this number in your head. You just go to your mind map. You add a small note near the succulent center bubble. You write over 10,000 species. You have stored it. You know that later, when you tell a friend about your new plant, you will use this fact. You will say, it's a succulent. Did you know there are over 10,000 kinds? You will be applying the evidence. Finally, the article mentions a few names of popular succulents, like Echeveria and Sedum. These are difficult names. You just have to know them. This is reference information. Do not waste your brain power on it right now. Pull out your phone. Open your SRS app, your smart flashcard app. Create a new card. Front. What is this plant called? With a picture of it. Back. Echeveria. It takes 20 seconds. That information is now safe. It is in a system that will make sure you remember it long term with very little effort. Now stop and look at what you have done in a short time. You did not just passively read an article, you have a mind map that is growing. It shows the connections. You have a plan to practice a skill. You have a better, more accurate analogy in your mind. You have a key piece of evidence linked to your big picture. And you have outsourced the difficult new words to a smart system. You have truly, deeply digested the material. This is the difference between working hard and working smart. This is how you can build a strong foundation for your learning. It's a wonderful method for your journey of learning English, too. The journey I took from that sad, tired student to the person I am today. It was not about getting a better memory. It was not about becoming a genius. It was about realizing that the goal is not to remember everything. The goal is to build a system for understanding. These 5 ideas, they are that system. It is a choice a choice to move away from passive consumption, the way schools often teach us, and move towards active digestion, the way our brains actually need to learn. It is about being intentional with information. When you learn a new thing, you do not just let it wash over you. You stop and you ask a question. What kind of information is this? Is it a skill? Then I need to practice it. Is it a comparison? Then I need to question it. Is it a big idea? Then I need to map it. Is it a small fact? I will connect it to my map later. Or is it a word or a name? Then I will give it to my smart flashcard app to remember for me. This is not a magic trick. It is a method. It is a reliable process, a repeatable process. It puts you in control of your own learning. It changed my life. It took me from feeling like a failure to a place of confidence and calm. And I believe it can do the same for you. You have the power to learn anything you want, anything. You just need to stop trying to fill that bucket with the hole in the bottom and instead build a system to digest, connect, and understand. Learning English can feel like this sometimes. So many words, so many rules, but you can use these ideas. Practice speaking, even if it's just to yourself. That is procedural. Connect new words to a mind map of ideas. That is conceptual. Use a spaced repetition app for new vocabulary. That is reference. You can do this. Be kind to yourself. Learning is a journey. It takes time. It's okay to go slowly. Every small step is a victory. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. It means a lot to me. I have a final question for you. As you think about your own learning this week, what is the biggest type of information you are working with? Are you learning a skill? Or big ideas? Or new words? And which one of these ideas are you going to try first? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one, and I love to hear from you. Keep learning, keep being curious, and be gentle with yourself. I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye for now.